Welcome back. So, Professor Sasi has already set the platform, and he has talked about like many of related aspects of crashes, that how to do scoring or give importance to different type of crashes based on the US manual, US safety manual. So, in this lecture I will try to see the similar thing, but maybe Indian context, that in context to Indian Road Congress codes, that how IRC codes deals with that kind of thing. So, we will talk about like what is the black spot and how the black spot is defined as per Indian context, and then like how we can prioritize the different black spots, and then what are the remedial measures. So, that we are trying to cover in today's lecture. So, there are like three key safety principles which like in lecture 1 Professor Sasi has already talked about safe system approach. So, first principle is that like recognizing that human frailty is that like maybe human can get hurt, or maybe they can like make, then next is like human can make mistakes. So, we cannot assume that drivers cannot make mistakes. So, we by design we can assume that human might make mistake, but we need to create an environment in such a way that even if driver make mistake, so the consequences should not be too serious. So, based on that we have this circle where like maybe in core we try to work to prevent crashes that result in death or serious. So, our all effort being traffic engineer to reduce the seriousness of the injury or maybe death. So, all force system is that like we wanted to make road safe, we wanted to make vehicle safe, we wanted to make like speeds under control, and at the same time we wanted to have like safer pedestrian movement. So, this principle is like endorsed by doing kind of maybe licensing and registration, stricter policy, education and enforcement, innovation, the way we implement the standards we can strictly enforce, coordination between different organization, data research and evaluation, road rules and enforcement. All these are the ways through which we try to achieve this safe system approach. So, we will not go in detail in this, but like these are the basis on which like the entire thing has been developed, and the basic definition of crash is that like road crash is a rare and multi-factor event. So, it is not that regular affair. So, although we keep seeing the accidents daily basis, but actually it is a rare event. It is not that like we are expected to have crashes everywhere or every here and there. At the same time, they are not only one person's fault. There might be multiple factors which like work together for any accident. So, where one or more road user have failed to cope up with the road environment, whatever road environment we are providing, we anticipate that driver should behave in particular manner, but as a user he fails to either perceive that what is the designer's perspective behind designing that road, or he does some other error. So, maybe like you design a sharp curve, you put the speed limit, maybe user are not able to perceive that as a sharpness of that curve, or he failed to perceive that there is a speed limitation implement in that section. So, there might be many such combination of failure which might lead to any crash. So, why this is important, that like we should focus on solution rather than direct cause. Sometimes what happens, like if you see the incident and you try to look for the region why the accident happened, if you do not dig in deeper, so then you might not able to get the correct cause of the accident. Like for example, say a vehicle run off from a road at a sharp bend, driver died due to impact of vehicle sliding down in high embankment on a valley side. So, this is a event which occur. So, a traffic policeman went to investigate that. He found that driver was travelling fast and he was under the influence of alcohol at that time of crash. So, his conclusion is like the traffic policeman conclusion is that this road crash was due to dangerous driving and influence of alcohol. So, this is a half truth. So, he may not see that other factors which has not given him enough warning for that kind of impeding situation. If you see the same scenario, if a like a traffic expert or experienced road safety auditor visited or crash investigation happen in scientific manner, so their findings are following. So, sharp bend come after a long straight stretch. So, once you have long straight stretch and then sharp bend, so in long straight stretch the tendency is to increase the speed and suddenly you had a sharp bend. So, it become very difficult to control the speed. So, this kind of combination if you are going to provide, that will always be dangerous. So, you cannot have a long straight stretch and then sharp bend. So, before that you need to introduce some mild curve, so that like speed goes down and then you can have a sharp curve, or you should have enough warning to that situation. So, sharp bend warning sign was not placed or maybe not replaced once it got damaged. So, that is one. So, root cause, first root cause might be this, which like encourages the driver to have higher speed once he is approached to a particular sharp curve. At the same time, you had not given the proper warning, and at the same time once we say that our infrastructure should be like kind of in such a way that if driver make mistake, he should be able to like adopt that, or he should able to protect. So, that side road safety barrier was missing, which might have prevented this vehicle going down in valley. So, these are like, then if sign had been in place, driver might have probably reduced the speed, or if barrier would have been there properly, this may be extent of the accident may not be there. Now, these are two different analysis of the same event. So, whenever like such kind of accident happen, we should start looking into that like root cause which might be creating a particular kind of scenario which might be perceived by the driver, and then driver actions. If you see only driver action, you do not go the like root behind it or cause behind it, you will not get the correct reason. So, even in with the previous conclusion, here if you do the driver training and those things at that location, it may not be effective until unless you implement and figure out all those causes. So, this is a simple example just to give that like any incident once we see or crash you see, the how you are going to investigate that. Okay. Okay. So, then like black spot, what is the like we keep seeing or keep hearing the name like term black spot, or sometime it is called like hot spot. Gray spot is slightly different. Okay. So, it is like it refers to a specific location or stage where high number of accidents or crashes are expected to happen, which might be fatal or maybe serious injury crashes. Okay. So, property damage and those things may not be comes under hot spot or maybe a black spot location. So, this analysis of or like identification of black spot locations are important, so that we can do the preventive measures in order to reduce the number of accidents. So, why we require like to identify the black spot? One is that like if you target for road safety improvement, you need to know that where to do that and where it will be most effective. So, black spot are those locations. Other is that efficient use of resources, because you may not have ample amount of fund. So, if with the limited fund, all accident locations you cannot treat. So, you need some priority that okay, stage 1 you are going to spend maybe only 100 crore. So, 100 crore where to spend? 100 crore may not be enough to treat all the accident locations. So, then you need some kind of priority in order to efficient use of resources, so that if you whatever money you invest, maximum amount of accident reduction you should be able to get. Then data driven decision making. So, if you had this kind of crashes data and with the location, with the severity level, then you might able to decide in better way, efficient way, allocating the like resources in a most efficient way, so that like you can have a maximum reduction with the available resources. Okay. So, MORTS definition is very straightforward in terms of like defining the black spot. So, black spot or a road accident is black spot is a stretch on national highway or any other road is about 500 meter length. So, it is not too small, not too long. So, in which either 5 or more road accident in past 3 years took place. So, that happens like took place in last 3 calendar year. So, 5 more are accident which is like of this nature, which include fatality or serious injury. So, or in other case, even if one accident happen, but your fatality is 10 or more, then also that location is called as like black spot. So, even if bus accident happen at particular location, if fatality is 10 or more in last 3 years, so that is spot will be treated as black spot. Okay. So, now here this number is fixed, the length is important. So, 500 meter stretch you need to choose. So, how to choose that 500 meter stretch, that is important. So, now in this like suppose you had given this kind of scenario where this is a 1 kilometer stretch length, and then engineer like started okay, this is 0. So, he divided 500 then 500. Now, whether it is like qualify as a black spot or not? Yes or no?
Sir, if you do like if you just give it a right time, so then it will be a more helpful, more accurate.
So, with the current
No,
division?
no.
So, whether it is correct division?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. Any other comment? So, online audience, any comment?
Sir, it depends. Sir, it depends on road condition actually. Anywhere black spot it's happens, but it depends if potholes is there, if any wrong interaction junction is there, then anything means it's not a particular scale is there. Black spot
So,
will
here
happen anywhere.
sorry, maybe I did not explain it properly. All this red dot is like a serious injury kind of accident, or might be fatal accident, single fatal accident. So, these red dot you have these 6 dots at and these are the locations of those accidents in meters. So, that is given. So, with that information, whether this whatever engineer had divided into 500 meter, whether that is a correct approach?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So, anybody else has
300
any?
or 500?
Yeah. So, 500 let us assume, because that MORTS has specified 500. So, it is like it can be plus minus 5, 10, 100, 10 meter or 50 meter, but mostly it is 500. So, any other comment? Now, if we go to the definition, it says 500 meter length. It never said from where to start. So, here sorry, if you start from 0, this is correct. Okay. So, then you will have 3 serious injury accident here, 3 serious injury accident here, both stage is safe, but it does not say that like you started from starting. It says that like you have 500 meter stretch length, it can be anything, anywhere. So, you have sliding window, may not be static window, that like you decided from 0 to 500, 500 to 1000, it is not necessary. You can have 100 to 600, 600 to 1100. If you do that, say this is like 500 meter window you have, now you start sliding this window, and if you do that, it might be 100 to 600. Now, it become 6 number of accident. Now, it become black spot. So, this is important to learn, that how to identify the stage. It is not that like you from starting you start counting 500, 500, 500. So, if you plot the accident, any 500 sliding window, if it has like 6 accident, so that stage will become 500, that black spot. Okay. So, that way like you need to understand the sliding window concept instead of like a static window concept.
Akhilesh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one quick comment for those of you who use GIS software, the technical term is called dynamic segmentation. So, if you use the dynamic segmentation tool, it will automatically move. Say you want to have 400 meters, 300 meters, you define what the length is, and it will incrementally go and find what are the criteria. The
Yes.
technical term is dynamic segmentation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So that way like because in IRAD you can plot those things over GIS map. So, all these like data analysis tools you can use. So, dynamic segmentation concept you can use, you put the 500 window and automatically it will keep highlighting that where this criteria met. Okay. So, this was like the criteria which was like for Indian context, then there are like different country might have different criteria. Okay. So, we will not go in detail, already Professor Sasi has talked about US. So, different country has different, many of they do not believe in 500 meter, they will believe in like crash potential or fatal crash per kilometer in a year, or maybe sometime crash frequency they believe. So, that way like in Indian context whatever definition, let us like go ahead with that definition, and in this like 4 main tasks to treat an accident like kind of road where bad condition records are there. First like we need to have like either figure out black spots, then treat. So, these are like 4 different strategies how you are going to treat or make a road safer. So, either go black spot wise, or you identify a particular route and treat the entire route, or you figure out certain common type of crash which might be happening in that location, and you identify all those crash location and treat those all crash location, or you can identify that area, that okay in this area maximum accidents are happening. So, then that area can be treated. So, most of the time we go ahead with black spot, we identify black spot because like still we do not have enough fund to go ahead for the entire route until unless that route become very important. Okay. So, then investigating and rectification of black spot. So, why it is necessary, that we need to know that like based on severity of crash how to prioritize the list, we will subsequently see that how to create priority list. Then crash data analysis at the individual site and diagnostic of the cause like causes of the crashes, and subsequently we select the remedial measure. Then we provide detailed design and implementation of the proposed treatment, and subsequently we monitor that kind of remedial measure, that whether it is become effective or not. Like what Professor Sasi has like talked about crash reduction factor and those things. So, for Indian context we still do not have crash reduction factor. So, it is not that that cannot be developed. The biggest challenge is that we do not have like reliable data of accident over time. So, nowadays like lot many black spots are identified, and MORTH make a mandate that you have to treat all the those black spots. So, a phase wise manner, like each state government is like taking up to remove the black spots, but still monitoring and evaluation part is still not implemented. Like we need to see that like in past 3 years before the remedial measure what was the accident scenario, and after the remedial measure what was the significant reduction. So, somebody has to do that, and like say maybe if you had in particular state maybe 400 different black spots. So, our 400 black spot might have like different countermeasures which got implemented. Somewhere like you might put rumble strip, you might have widened the shoulder, somewhere like you might have flattened the curve radius. So, different remedial measure might have implemented. So, if you observe the effectiveness of those measures, then you come up with the crash reduction factor corresponding to that measure. If you had say 20 sites where you had like only widen the shoulder, so how much effective it is, how much percentage of accident got reduced, you will come up with that number, and then you get the crash reduction factor. So, now we are having this IRAD database system which is like continuously recording the data. So, maybe in future we might have the past data, and then after the countermeasure data we study that along with the whatever measure got implemented, and we can develop the crash reduction factor. Okay. So, these are the basically steps in black spot treatment. You need to like first figure out black spots, then based on prioritization you treat the black spot, collect crash data, do the analysis, identify that what is the common pattern in those accidents. So, based on the common pattern you try to implement some of the remedial measure, and then you identify the this is like a pattern only. Subsequent like once you identify pattern, you develop the countermeasure, then based on the countermeasure like to implement the countermeasure you provide the detailed design and drawing, and like what will be the cost implication, because until unless you have cost implication ready the project will not get approved. So, you need to see here show here that like how much cost is required, and if you are going to implement that what is the expected reduction in like fatality. So, that like is still that reliable prediction of expected reduction it is still not there. So, still we get some number and we provide the benefit cost ratio, because we do not have like crash reduction factor in place. Then once that is done, like you have all the drawings and estimates ready, then you tender those things, get implemented and monitor for the next few years that how much is the reduction happen. So, this is the like stage 1 to stage 4 of the entire black spot treatment procedure as per IRC code. So, this is that IRC code which talks about like guideline for identifying and treatment of black spot. So, 2022. So, now all these like things which we are discussing today, most of the content is taken from there. So, I will share that code itself, because now it is available in public domain. Okay. So, then in order to determine the priority of that black spot, like even black spot might be also different label. So, to understand that what is the grade of black spot, you need to do certain analysis. So, one is that like average annual total crash, that you need to figure it out. So, 3 years fatality data you need to collect, and that like maybe all different types of road you can collect. So, maybe like in your state, if you had like expressways, state highway, national highway, all the segment like separately for expressways, separately for national highway, separately for state highway, you collect the number of fatality in last 3 years. Then you also collect the length of that corresponding road. So, like how much kilometer of expressway, how much kilometer of national highway. So, after that you divide whatever is the total crash for a particular type of road, divide by 3 years. So, that will give you the divide by 3 years and divide by total number of length. So, you had the maybe suppose 50 kilometer of expressway. So, in 50 kilometer if you had 100 crashes in 3 years. So, 100 divided by 3, this will be per year, and then divide by the length, it will give you the number of crashes per year per kilometer. So, that become like average annual total crash per kilometer. Okay. But here black spot definition says 500 meter stretch. So, you multiply it by 2, so that it become like half, you divide by further half. If 1 kilometer per kilometer, this is the AATC, you divide by further 2. So, then that will be corresponding for 500 meter. So, that value you need to obtain for each type of road. So, that will give you the average crash rate in your state corresponding to different type of road. And once that is ready, so you had AATC for 500 meter for each type of road. If that is ready, then you go with the chart. For this, like IRC code had this chart index appendix, where they had these kind of factors that corresponding to AATC that has been listed. So, maybe like in your particular zone, whether you ended up with the, this is like AATC for per kilometer, this is AATC for per 500 meter into 3 times this. So, if you consider this 0.93, so here you need to divide it by 2, multiplied by 3, this you will get this value. So, this is like 3 times of the annual AATC of for 500 meter stretch. This is 5 times, this is 10 times, this is 15 times. So, now you need to compare that how much value you got, whether your value is like more than this for national highway or more than this for state highway, more than this for ODR. If it is more than this, means like your current condition is more than 15 times of AATC for 500 meter. So, whatever is the average value, so based on the state data they had come up with the average value. So, in particular your district, if you had calculated this thing and start comparing with the average one, then it will tell that like how much severe you are. So, particular state has this kind of standard. If your comes like 15 times more, then that becomes basically the most severe one. Say like if you had anything like greater than 15 times, that become your first order black spot. So, your potential rate, crash potential rate is 15 times or more than the average of your state. So, that needs to be treated first. If it is between 10 times to 15 times, then this is second order. If it is 5 to 10 times, it is third order. If it is 3 to 5 times, it become fourth order. So, that way like you can have order of black spots. So, depending upon the limitation of fund, first you need to tackle all those black spots which is of the first order. Okay. So, this is clear. So, you need to have, yes.
So, this is the ready-made reference from IRC, right? These values?
These values are ready-made reference, but once you try to calculate for your case, so you will be said, suppose you are doing it for Guwahati. So, you figure out in Guwahati how many accidents happen in past 3 years on a particular national highway stretch, on a state highway stretch, and then divide by total length, divide by 3, divide by 2, you will get one number. and that number you have to compare for Assam for that particular vehicle type, for that particular road type. If your value is like is here, it means like close to 15 times. If it is even higher, it is more than 15 times. So, if it is more than 15 times for that particular location, means that is like that stretch is having of like very high order of black spot on that particular stretch.
So treatment is based on the prioritization.
Based on that priority. So, in that like if you you will be treating those stretch, taking up those stretch first. Okay. So, that way like you will be deciding the order. So, this is the entire table which is given as like appendix 4.1. For each state they had developed this appendix that is available in the IRC code. Okay. Okay. Then there are like other way of doing the crash analysis. This is one way of AATC. Then other way is that you can do the cluster analysis, you can do the heat map analysis, you can do the grid analysis, you can have the corridor analysis. If you have this IRAD data and you are able to plot over GIS map, all these analysis are possible to figure out that which is might be the crucial zone. So, like in cluster analysis what you will do, you will maybe trying to plot all the accident and then try to create cluster of different frequency. So, higher frequency like where it happens, that cluster you can take, that okay, here in this neighborhood more number of accidents are happening. So, I will take that that location on priority. Similarly, like here, so is this cluster is formed in urban setup. So, maybe like darker color will indicate more number of accidents are happening in that neighborhood. So, maybe that neighborhood you will be treating on priority. So, this is cluster based. Then maybe like you can develop the heat map. So, heat map is also a similar way, but representation is different. So, along the stretch you might have these kind of color coding. So, darker color again indicates that more number of accidents are happening in that zone. So, it will if you see that map, you will be able to realize that which location is more crucial on that particular stretch. Okay. So, that is another way of figuring out the location. So, here we are not identifying the black spot as per the definition. Here we are doing based on the cluster analysis. Okay, this zone requires treatment priority. Okay. Similarly, you can make grid. So, you can apply like maybe 100 meter by 100 meter grid, maybe 500 meter by 500 meter grid for entire city or maybe district. Then you see that which patch is like darker. So, maybe that patch requires like more attention. Then you can go and do the in-depth analysis and apply the priority maintenance in that particular grid. Then even corridor analysis, maybe like you can identify different corridor and do the analysis and figure out which one is more severe. Okay. So, like here. So, then once you have black spot identification, all the black spot in your area you had identified. So, you need to prioritize that which black spot you are going to take up first. So, in this case for prioritization you need to see that how much accident happen in that each black spots. So, although black spot has like minimum threshold definition. So, anything higher than that location will be treated as black spot, but how much higher that you do not know. So, that priority you need to set that based on the number of accident happen. So, whatever process Sasi has like given that weightage. So, versus like fatal versus crash. So, IRC says like 10 points for fatal, 5 points for serious injury, which is like almost 50%, then minor injury 2 points, and then damage only 1 point. So, it means that like maybe one fatal accident might be treated as like maybe equal priority with 2 serious accident or maybe 5 minor injury accident. So, that way like it tells about that how you compare or maybe aggregate different type of accident in order to figure out the overall severity of that particular location. So, that way like now in particular black spot, if you want to compare black spot 1 versus black spot 2, you figure out how many number of accident happen in that location, how many fatal, how many serious injury, how many minor injury, and multiply with these points and get a common score. So, whichever is having common higher score, that might be should get higher priority. Like this is like just one example. So, here we had like accident locations 15, maybe this is cluster location, may not be accident location. So, and these are the accidents happen in that location. So, damage only, minor, major, fatal, everything is given. So, different location, all 15 has different numbers. If you just simply sum up, so you will get this kind of total number. So, if you go with the number, you will find that like this is, or this might be the highest cluster 11, and then location 3, this should be on priority, because these are the having highest number. But if you try to implement scoring business, so here all fatal will be multiplied with 10, all this major one will multiplied by 5, minor will multiplied by 2, and then damage only will be multiplied by 1. And if you do that and figure out the score, you will see the dynamics got changed. Now, even though the total number of accident was lesser, but you will find that this become more severe accident because number of fatal accident was more. So, that is why like you need to see the severity level of the accident apart from the number of accident, which Professor Sasi has given 2 example, that like 2 villages and then you have total number more or less same. But until unless you have this kind of bifurcation, decision making is difficult. Just based on the total number, if you go, you might be not implementing your, or maybe investing your money wisely. You need to have priority here and maybe here. So, now you can rearrange this entire thing on the this score basis, total severity score basis. Now, based on the available fund, you can start like treating this from the top. If you are able to treat this 3 versus these 4, 5, you might be saving a lot here in terms of safety than here even treating 5. So, if you see if we able to measure only that like a particular state performance, that how many black spot he has treated. So, maybe here you might be treating 5, but once you see the performance that in subsequent year whether accident has been reduced or not, so maybe accident may not reduce even though you had invested similar amount of money. So, that is why this kind of scoring is important in order to invest the money at the location where it has highest impact. Okay. So, till now any question from online audience?
Sir, actually national highway they have chainage. In state highway they also have chainage. Then
Yes.
how to use dynamic
Yeah.
black spot scale? How to utilize, because the chainage is fixed, and NHA or state highway or other district road, they means whatever the management, they also consider only the chainage black spots, not to dynamic black spot. Then how can we?
So, you will have accident along with the chainage that you can plot in Excel.
Yes.
That
Yes.
you can plot in Excel. Either you if you are able to plot in GIS map, then things become easy. So, whatever Professor Sasi says, the dynamic window or maybe that you can apply and you can get. But if you do not have, at least you will be having all the accident location in terms of chainage. You put them in Excel, you can either write a small code or do the manual thing that okay, every 5 meter anywhere just you keep sliding, whichever covers maximum number of accident, you put that as a one black spot location. So, whether it is like answered your question?
Yes.
Okay. So, this
Thank you,
can be done like maybe either you use some kind of tools of programming or GIS map, or maybe you can do hit and trial. If you do not have like a entire large database, you can do it manually very quickly. Okay. Any other question? Yes.
Sir, in the before slide said the black spot or plotting in a software. So may I know the name of the software in which it was been plotted?
So, if you had this yesterday I talked about IRC. So, they had a provision that you can plot those things in a GIS map, because they had lat long. Okay. So, even if you had lat long, then you can transport into the GIS map, they will be get plotted, because for you need a identification point. For that you require latitude, longitude. So, if you know the black spot or accident location up to 100, all the corresponding lat long, you can plot it. Okay. Okay. So, you can use QBasic or maybe any standard GIS software. There are fewer which are the freeware also. Yes.
Is black spot is related to the road environment factor. So can we are considering here the number of accidents. So are we considering the number of accident irrespective of the cause behind the accident, or with the cause behind the accidents? Like if we are considering 10 fatalities, if there is one accident and 10 fatalities are there, so we are considering it is a black spot. So we are assuming that if a bus is traveling and many passengers are there, so a bus got accident due to some vehicle related factors. So can we consider this as a black spot?
Yeah. So, as per the current definition, yes, that will be a black spot, but I agree with your concern that like maybe this may not be very appropriate way.
Yes.
But for many of the field application, you need very clear cut guideline. Otherwise, like implementing those will be a challenge. If you make it subjective and put too much constraint,
Yes, sir.
then it will become difficult to implement in the field. And that is why like even though they come up with a very fixed number,
Yes.
with no variability. So, yes, I agree in those some cases like where single accident involve large number of casualty might lead to a wrong, maybe if it is happens to maybe only driver behavior. So, that might lead to a wrong impression that that may not be a black spot, but it will be treated as a black spot. So, that limitation we have. Okay. So, but and these guidelines are so strict that like you have to follow that, you have to put all the treatment. But here basic assumption is that like we are giving value to the life. So, so this is like directly linked to the number of lives we are able to, or we could save, or we are losing. So, whatever might be the reason, that will come to next step. So, here based on the number of lives we are losing, we are trying to give the priority. So, what could be the reason for that? That comes next. Okay. Okay. So, once that is there, then maybe like all this accident data. So, like you had identified, okay, now we have these 5 locations which we are going to treat. So, priority got set, based on the fund we are able to handle first 5. So, we are going to next level, that what to do with that 5 locations. Then in that 5 location, whatever number of accident happen, you try to plot them or try to document those data. And to an idea of doing that is to get some pattern. So, maybe like you plot all the accident maybe in this format, maybe every accident year wise, or maybe accident wise how many was head on, how many are rear end. So, you put them in some table. So, idea of like putting in the table format in order to see that like what is the pattern. So, maybe if you see that like a lot of accidents are happening only hit pedestrian, hit pedestrian, hit pedestrian for that particular location. So, then you need to see that like what could be the possible reason. So, here we try to figure out the pattern. Okay. So, even not only table, we can do the this arrow diagram also, or maybe collision diagram. So here, like if you see, each individual accident is kept under certain factors and or maybe conditions. So if we see lot many accidents are happening during the darkness means there is some issue with the street lights or maybe lighting or maybe visibility, that we need to figure it out. So all the accident we put in certain format in order to get the pattern. Okay. So even we try to draw the collision diagram. So how the accident happened, whether it is like rear end collision or front end collision or what is the location, there might be another collision diagram. So these we try to plot for each of these black spot and try to see that what kind of pattern, whether there is any pattern or not, in terms of type of accident, in terms of location of an accident, in terms of like timing of the accident, in terms of nature of the seriousness of the accident. So all those we try to get some pattern. Okay. And once you are able to like do the analysis and try to get the pattern, so location where pattern like distinct problem is identified. If you are not able to identify pattern, if you are able to identify pattern that okay, lot of pedestrian accident are happening and maybe they are happening in the late evening side and maybe at particular this side of the intersection, you can go and investigate and figure out what is the appropriate measure, that will talk about the measures and implement. What will happen if you do not get any pattern? If there are like 10 accidents, but all 10 were different, within the 500 meter they were spreaded randomly, there is no pattern, then that become more difficult, because there may not be a single factor which might be dominating for the accident, there might be multiple factor and each accident might have happening because of different factor. So there it requires like maybe more in-depth analysis. You go visit that location and see that like maybe you need to treat them for multiple factor, maybe only one countermeasure may not be sufficient for those kind of cases. So but majority of cases like you may get some pattern. So maybe 2-3 pattern together. So one might be related to pedestrian, one might be related to vehicular traffic, one might be related to some other thing. So then 2-3 pattern if you are able to identify corresponding to those pattern, so they already had listed some kind of countermeasures, and then you need to see that whether that which countermeasure will fit well for that kind of situation, and you can go ahead and do that. So if you do not see pattern, go for detailed analysis, try to figure out CCTV videos and those things are related to that accident, see that what could be the situation that why accident happened. So that in-depth analysis you need to do. But if you see this like one or more dominated type of road crashes which you identified, try to figure out the root cause for that, and then you try to provide the preventive measures for the same. Okay. So maybe solution whatever you are going to see, you need that solution should do that remove the conflict causing that problem. So pattern has been identified, now I am trying to see what could be the countermeasure we can adopt. So whatever measures we are going to adopt, that should be able to reduce the conflict whatever causes that accident or improve the situation. Maybe either you may not be, you are able to like say maybe this is the intersection, so there might be a conflict. So conflict if you are not able to remove, intersection is going to be there, so provide the warning. So put that like warning sign that there is a 4-leg intersection, there might be conflict, and then traffic calming measure can be another. So you had warned the driver, apart from that you wanted to minimize the risk level. So you reduce the speed, which Professor Sasi has also highlighted. If you reduce the speed, the fatality level is going to, or maybe accident severity level is going to substantially low. Then like go with the first design like a safety design, safe design principle, and try to see that like the particular location whether it comply with those kind of safe design principle or not. So, these are like 4-5 points which you need to keep in mind while deciding any kind of countermeasure. Okay. Then you need to see that like any specific measures which you are going to see, we need to evaluate on these points. Okay. So, the countermeasure, first thing is that whatever remedy we are going to provide, whether that is cost effective or not, because resource constraint in India is still a big constraint. So, you had a sharp curve, so permanent remedy is make it mild curve. So, that will like resolve most of the cases problem, but like you may not have land available, so you cannot do that, or you even land is available, you cannot invest that much money, or this process itself will take 2 years. So, whether you are going to wait for 2 years with no additional thing. So, you need to see that like whatever measures you are going to adopt or suggest, that should be the cost effective. You start with the economical one, you can have different layers. Maybe if you had like sharp bend, start working with the traffic calming measure first, which can be implemented very quickly with low amount of investment. Subsequently, you can suggest that within 6 months or 1 year, maybe this sharp curve should be changed with the mild curve. Okay. Then whether that particular measure is like adhere to the first safety principle of maybe that particular geometry or not. So, whatever measure you are going to suggest, that should comply with the like first safety principle of that particular geometry. Then whatever measure you are going to provide, whether it will be long lasting or not. If it is not, then that needs to be clearly stated that at this regular interval you need to keep applying this. So, maybe like traffic calming measure, you put a rumble strip marking there, but rumble strip marking will go ahead within 6 months or 1 year. So, you need to clearly write that every 6 month inspection should be made to ensure that like effectiveness of rumble strip is maintained. That kind of instruction should go in your recommendation. Then will it result in excessive increase of other type of crashes? So, maybe like you had resolved one, but you might have created something else. Like in one of the case, there was like a flyover which was like going down, and then it was merging with the flat ground, and just after the flyover touched the ground, there was a divider opening. So, in majority of cases this accident were happening, people pedestrian try to cross, and then because of gradient vehicle comes at the fastest speed and then hit pedestrian. So, here one of the solution could be which can be implemented cost effective, you put rumble strips. So, rumble strip will slow down the speed. So, might be accident might reduce at this location, but because of rumble strip, pedestrian vehicle might be coming at very fast speed, suddenly they will see the rumble strip, they will slow down. The vehicle which is behind that, they may not realize. So, you will see that over the time this problem get resolved, but rear end collision got started like happening in that location. So, then you need to be very careful whatever you are going to implement, that should not cause some other kind of problem. That anticipation or that kind of experience you should have, that while suggesting something, it is not that you solve one and create some other problem. Okay. So, will it need…
Hey Akhilesh, if I could interrupt.
Yeah, please.
I know Ritvik asked a similar question. I assure the audience participants that Professor Maurya and I did not discuss this example ahead of time. It just so happened that he picked on a similar example. Ritvik asked the question about exactly the same thing.
Okay, I was not aware.
Yeah, when we talked about the countermeasures, you may do 1 or 2 things that improve safety, but inadvertently there's something else that might go
Yeah.
the other way. So
Yes.
Ritvik asked a question, and we used exactly the same thing. You improve some things, and then rear end happens.
Yes, yes, that happens. And like few of the real location, like I had experience with, this thing happens. So that's why I remember those examples very well. So then, will it like need to be heavily enforced by the police, or need considerable publicity or education? So whatever measures you are going to say like if you had designed such a road where there might be a possibility of like contraflow. So maybe like there is a school, like there is a school on this side, and you had created a junction slightly on upstream side, just maybe 50 meter this side. So you will see that school people who wanted to go that side, and the other side is like 1 kilometer ahead. Now in this case, you will expect that people will go 1 kilometer down and come back to this. It may not happen. They may like come 50 meter opposite counter side and cross this. Now here your belief, if you are going to suggest this, that okay, intersection should be at this location, even though knowing that like there might be traffic generator point here, if you are going to accept this, you are assuming that 100% enforcement is ensured, but that may not be possible. So in this situation, if you know that this is going to happen, better to provide provision for that. So maybe on other side you should have wide shoulder where pedestrian can have like, or maybe cyclist can go in opposite direction with protected environment and reach to the intersection. Either you do that, otherwise believing that there will be heavily enforcement from police side, it might happen one day or 1 week or 1 month. After that everybody will be start doing the original business, and that is like natural human tendency, that like they will always minimize their effort, even sometimes they take risk. So that kind of measures when we are going to suggest, we need to be very careful whether that is like, that should not require like that kind of belief that everything will be enforced 100%. Then will it be like friendly for the pedestrian or VR use? So whatever we are going to suggest, that should like acceptable to them. So if we see some place like maybe there is pedestrian crossing, maybe just like making the foot overbridge will not suffice, because foot overbridge take significant effort to cross that road. If road is not wide enough, if like medians are not properly barricaded, even if you provide foot overbridge, nobody is going to use that. So that kind of understanding, or like maybe practicality, we should consider while suggesting anything. Okay. Then some of the counter measures. Okay. So in counter measures, like already we are 12:30. So counter measures, we will spend just 5 minutes. I will share the entire code. The counter measure has long list of like counter measures. You can just simply go through. I will go through some of them. Like first thing, that we need to identify the crash type. Once we are able to identify the crash type, then we will be able to figure out what will be the potential root cause. So once we identify potential root cause, then we will be able to identify the counter measures. So first, based on the data, you try to figure out what is the different accident type. So maybe single vehicle crashes, pedestrian crashes, maybe crashes of vehicles driving in the same direction or opposite direction, crashes at junction, crashes between vehicles traveling in opposite direction, railway crossing. So there might be, you list down all. What are the different kind of accident is possible, or crashes is possible. Then these are some example of the factors which might be causing this single vehicle crashes. So single vehicle crash, like it might happen that a vehicle is run off from the road, maybe at the curve they are not able to take the proper turn, or maybe hit by some object, maybe you had culvert and it's not visible, so vehicle is like hitting that, or maybe tree is very close by the carriageway, they are hitting to that. So, all those might be the reason for single vehicle crash. Okay. Otherwise, in mid block, if vehicle is moving, there is no point in like he will get collide. So, these might be the potential factors which might cause single vehicle crash. So, like maybe excessive speed which does not meet road standard, you had sharp curve, but like maybe driver is not able to perceive the sharpness of the curve. So, he will might be able to move at a higher speed. Then driver fatigue. So, maybe like you had long stretch which is like very straight, and then suddenly there is some abrupt geometry. So, once it is long stretch, so driver get like monotonous and he will like become unattentive, and suddenly if there is some sharp geometry will come, he will not able to act to that. Then poor lighting condition might be one. So, you may not able to see the curve, or may not able to see the particular object. Road alignment is not clear, he is not able to perceive the road alignment. High speed on the curve, restricted forward visibility from the particular approach speed. So, maybe you are not able to see that what kind of geometry ahead. Narrow carriage width after a long wide section, suddenly you had like a wide road with wide shoulder, and suddenly you had a culvert which does not have shoulder. So, that perception people will not able to perceive until unless properly lit and informed. Then maybe sharp sag curve and crest curve, it is not properly designed, you may not able to see the traffic on other side. So, there are many such factors which are listed in the code. Now, corresponding to these factors, they had identified the possible remedial measure. So, one of the remedial measure in order to reduce the vehicle crash is that speed limit measure, or maybe traffic calming measure you need to provide, so that like people are able to reduce the speed. So, that can be either you have like install vertical speed calming measure, you can have like road signs as well. So, here or maybe like you can have warning signs, or you can have chevron sign, delineator post at a sharp curve. Consider applying speed limit in that particular zone, ensure all traffic island, median, those things, and road sign at that particular location. Install hazard marker on obstruction which are close to the edge. Install clearly visible junction warning signs. So, these are the measures which might ensure that controlling the speed, or maybe reducing the speed, or encouraging driver or warning driver to reduce the speed, as well as improving signage will give you the message related to like impeding geometry. So, there is like then other set of measures which might improve the road marking, that will also help in single vehicle crash. If road marking is proper, you may able to see that what way road is turning. So, even like there might be a measure which related to improve visibility, there might be measures like which related to roadside environment, improve the road geometry. So, that kind of a long list of measure is already suggested in this. So, your effort is that first you identify the pattern on a particular road geometry. Once pattern is identified, try to figure out the root cause. So, among all this list, just you see that what could be the cause which might lead to this result. There might be multiple root cause for a single accident. Maybe you can figure it out as many as possible. You tick those. So, corresponding to that, among these category, you figure out which category might be applicable. So, maybe like say sharp curve case, you might have traffic calming measure as well as signage, both might be required, even lane marking might be required. So, multiple measures might be required, you tick those. So, among each category you might have multiple measures, then among these multiple measures you choose which might be suitable to that particular location. So, even though for a particular measure there are 5-6 for particular achieving a particular objective, there might be 5-6 measures are given, all may not be effective at particular location. So, you need to choose based on your geometry which particular measure will be effective. So, you cannot have like very straightforward rule that you put your condition, you will get with the measure. It will never be happen. It requires a reasonable understanding and experience to identify the root cause, and then how the root cause can be resolved using these measures. So, this is like one type of accident. Then even like maybe pedestrian related accident, there are list of contributing factor, list of possible countermeasures. All these things are given in the IRC code. So, we will not go in detail, because like this is long list, and until unless we correlate with the factor and countermeasure, you will not able to understand anything. So, that and correlation will depend upon the specific cases, that what is the exact geometry, what is the type of accident, then what could be the root cause, what could be the countermeasure. So, that has to be studied like for a particular black spot case by case, a black spot at particular location, what are the accident happen and what could be the measure we had adopted. Okay. Now, this is all. So, this is long list. So, maybe like yeah. So, somebody was asking this like yesterday. Yeah. So, this CART means like classification regression tree. This is like a kind of method or which generally helps in these things. We try to help in identifying the what could be the factors of behind these crashes, how this segmentation we can do, how we can do the predicting. So, basically it's analysis methodology. Through this we try to figure out like factors and severity and prediction, these things. Okay. Okay. So, thank you. So, any question?
Sir, can I ask I have a quick and simple question right now?
Yeah, maybe you can go ahead.
Yes, sir, as you said that IRC threshold is the crash based definitions like greater than 5 fatalities in 3 years.
Yes.
Does this approach fail to detect high risk locations with frequent near misses? Like, I mean, there might be some sharp curves with no recorded accident crashes. How can we quantify the hidden risk there, sir?
Oh, that is not actually listed here. So, in black spot you need clear cut accident data. So, near misses like those things does not account like based on that, because IRAD you may not have this kind of data recorded. So, until unless some crash happen, that will not get recorded. So, if it is not get recorded, you cannot use that kind of data to quantify it as a black spot. So, you can quantify only property damage, maybe minor injury, major injury and fatal accident, that is all. Near miss crashes maybe because that is not converted into accident. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add maybe to his question recent some of this IRC study, they did something called a gray spot. This is not actually the accidents, but maybe near misses and other less severe incident. Based on that, they classify it as a not as a black spot, but probable maybe spot where risk might be higher.
Yeah, gray spot means that like where you anticipate that in future it might get converted into black spot. So, that is called gray spot, means that that particular location has potential to get converted into black spot if treatment has not been done.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, now Ritik,
Thank
you can ask your question.
Sir, actually I was just reflecting on this black spot calculation, but this is like a post installation of the road, right? After the road has been commissioned, made to use, and 1 year, 2 year you get to define all the black spots. But can you actually highlight on how does it useful for planning the road itself? Because does IRC actually gets involved when we say that okay, we are going to connect this zone of the city to that zone of the city using this new road?
So this black spot, once you say, already these are like kind of reactive nature where accident is happening. So proactive nature, their road safety audit comes into picture. So that is a separate one. Here, like maybe Professor Sasi has already specified this, we are not going to talk about road safety audit.
Okay.
So in road safety audit, we get all those potential features, like a study of that those potential situation which might convert into accident. So those kind of, like maybe if you plan a project, so this road safety audit will be at from the very planning stage. So planning stage road safety audit, then design stage road safety audit, construction stage road safety audit, then pre-opening stage road safety audit. So in these road safety audit, we try to see the different element and try to see their potential towards the road crashes, and there we try to rectify before accident happen.
Okay.
So that is like a road safety audit become like proactive approach. So this is like subsequent accident analysis. So that black spot, and that once accident happen, then what to do.
Okay, thank you, sir. So one related question, is government only allowed to do this data collection?
No, government has this IRAT system through which it got recorded, because they need a authentic database, and that should be accessible to their all hierarchy level. But like people who has like PPP mode highway projects, they also supposed to maintain the accident records. So at the end now, with Assam, I could see that like they try to keep matching whether IRAT data is matching with their data or not. But all the people like who are owning that are operating that highway for particular limited period, they are supposed to maintain that data, accident record data.
Okay, so when a new road is being inaugurated, they actually need to keep
Yes.
records of almost
Yes,
everything.
they have to keep record of accident.
Okay.
Because they will be responsible many of the time design, they choose their design. So they will be responsible if accident happen more frequently.
Thank you.
Yes. So any other question with the online audience? Okay. So if there is no question, we can close the session here.